everyone, and welcome to a very special Old School live stream. Why is it special, Mod Lenny?
Well, today we are going to be talking to you about Song of the Elves and Privinus.
Ooh, exciting. So, today we have the Song of the Elves development team here on the sofa. So, first of all, for anyone who doesn't know me, I am Mod Ed, and... oh, hello, someone's coming in. And I am a content developer, and I am the project lead on Song of the Elves. I'm also joined by...
Mod G, character artist, Song of the Elves.
Mod Lenny, another content developer on Song of the Elves.
Mod Ghost, I'm also an artist.
Mod West, environment artist.
So you see what I did there by letting you guys say your names? I can't mess it up. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the stream. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Song of the Elves is our big summer project. We polled it back in March, I think it was, and it passed with something like 94, 95% or something. So apparently you guys want it, and today we're going to be giving you lots of little sneak peeks, maybe even a few big sneak peeks as well, as to what we've been up to, because we've been working on it for the past few months. And I think, like everyone else, I haven't been on a stream in like 6 months or something. I think some of you guys are pretty similar. We've all been hiding away while the rest of the team has been sat here every week talking about all the various updates they've been doing. This is our turn. We're going to show off what we've been up to. So, Song of the Elves is the Grandmaster finale to the Elf storyline, just in case anyone wasn't aware. And as mentioned by Mod Lenny, it will unlock access to the Crystal City of Privinus. Ooh, there you go. That's the kind of excitement I'm after. Yes, Ed finally came out of exile. So, oddly enough, we're not going to spoil too much about the quest itself. We like to keep the story secret, but we are going to show off a few little sneak peeks. But then after that, we'll move on to talking about the city itself. We're going to talk a bit about the Gauntlet, one of the exciting new pieces of content in the city. We're going to talk about Zelcano, another exciting piece of content in the city. We're going to have a little music reveal from our friends in the audio department, who will be joining us a little bit later. And then we might have some time at the end to answer some questions. So if you've got any questions, throw them in the chat. We've got Mod Gambit keeping an eye on things, so do feel free to send him anything you want to ask us. And providing it's not too vulgar, we might even ask it. So before we get started, also one thing I should do is I should shout out Mod Rye and Mod Curse, are the other two members of the Song of the Elves team, but sadly couldn't be with us today. Shall we get started?
Makes it sound like they're dead.
Well,
No, they're
feel
not
like,
dead.
Yeah, I feel like we would probably be sound a bit sadder about that. It's like, yeah, Mod Curse, Mod Rye, they've gone now.
Couldn't be here today.
Oh well.
So, let's talk about the quest. I think we have some stuff to show off, do we? Because as much as I know you guys love looking like pretty fakes, I've actually got some things to show off as well. So, shall we have a look at what we've got?
Cool. Have we done some work?
Apparently, in some work. So look at that. First of all, it has a title. It's called Song of the Elves, believe it or not. And hopefully the clicker works. Ooh. So, Song of the Elves, as the name suggests, is about elves. And in the finale to the elf storyline, as a finale, there's going to be a few battles. So a lot of the previous quests in the series, as a lot of people remember, have involved lots of cursing at agility obstacles and that sort of thing. In this one, there's going to be more of that, don't worry, but there's also going to be a few battles need soldiers. So what we have here is a couple of the rebel warriors. So, Mod G, do you want to have a talk to us a bit about, because these were your designs, weren't they?
I made some rebel warriors. Really exciting. I actually approached a lot of like the elf designs, both within Privinus and sort of in the expanding areas, battles, etc., quite procedurally. So this is just some of the many combinations that you could see of the rebel elves. There's like a few different pieces, and they mix and match to create like a lot of different variations. And they have various recolors available to make it really feel like the world is super populated, which is very exciting.
So as you play through the quest, you'll be seeing these guys in action, you'll be fighting alongside them, and hopefully winning as you fight against the evil Ioweth elves. Or for some of them, you're probably just spacebarring through as fast as you can so you can get to the city. Shame on you guys, shame on you. Now, alongside our new rebel warriors, we've got some Ioweth warriors, as mentioned. These are the guys you're going to be fighting against, so... Here's what they look like. Again, Mod G, you designed these ones as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Anything to comment on those guys?
To be honest, I had a lot more fun designing these guys because I sort of took a few liberties and went quite
Bad guys are just more fun, aren't they?
Bad guys are so fun. Bad guys are always more fun.
But not they're actually bad guys and no one's a bad guy, it's just different opinions and all that.
Yeah, it's just
But they're the bad guys.
whoever's point of view you're looking from. So I took into account like a lot of color theory with these guys. I wanted to make their skin a bit different, almost sort of, you know, night elf-ish, night elfish. Wow, it's a tongue twister. To make them feel sort of a bit like other and different. A lot of darker colors. Yeah, had a good time. I was for it.
I was mid having. I thought you were talking. I was mid having a drink. As you can see,
Everyone's got dry.
we're super prepared for this. We know exactly what we're doing. What else have we got? Also, I have no idea what happens as I click this. I haven't actually seen the slideshow, so this is as much a surprise to me as it is to you guys. I'm actually having a really fun time myself seeing all this stuff.
Cool.
So we've also got obviously the unique characters in this quest, and this one is Ilfine, I think it is, isn't it? So you've got what's everyone laughing
Yeah.
at?
No, sorry, I was just looking at the chat. It's always a bad idea.
It's always a little distracting.
Never ever look at the chat. Never look at the chat. So on the left you can see her old model, the one she's currently got in game. On the far right you can see what she looks like in RuneScape, and then in the middle is what she's going to look like in the quest. And I feel like there's a sort of a recurring theme here where I go Mod G, because this one once again
Yeah.
was Mod G. You may notice that Mod G has done all the elves.
Made
So
a
Mod
lot
G,
of
do you
elves.
want to talk about this elf that you've done?
So this is another elf that I made. Made all the elves actually. That's a bit of a spoiler. So what I did was completely ignored the RS3 version and then tried to take the 2002 version and then make it so that it fit with the rest of the elves that are being introduced in this new quest and in this new update. I hope you guys like her. Obviously, it's quite difficult to update existing models because a lot of people are quite attached. Like I realized through posting on Twitter and asking for your opinions that a lot of people are really, really attached to this 2002 version. But I hope that I've at least swung some of you across to my side, and others of you just like the design in general. So thanks.
And alongside Elfine in the quest, we've got this guy as well. So most of the characters in Song of the Elves, that being the finale, are characters that appeared in previous quests. But this guy is actually not. So this guy is called Isgawin, not Yagawagga as we tend to call him in the office. He's called Yisgawin, and he does actually appear in Lecture. He's in game at the moment, but he's not actually really used for anything. But he's going to actually be a character in this quest. He's one of the leaders of the Elven Rebels alongside Elfine, Alnrin, and all the others. And here's another new model that, guess what? It was done by Mod G.
Made it. What do you guys think of this one?
I really like that one. I'm just seeing that someone else thinks that the RuneScape one looks like Jaime Lannister.
Oh, you
It
said
really
that
does,
earlier.
yeah.
It doesn't
Not
look,
alone.
doesn't
See, my favourite thing is still just the old school version's legs and feet. They are just proper tree trunks.
he? Yeah, very questionable.
It's like he's got gout or something, isn't it? It's really swollen.
He definitely didn't miss leg day, did he?
No.
He's got very weird arms as well. They're very poked out for the elves.
Well, that's the thing with the arms, isn't it? So
He literally looks like one of those guys you see in the gym. Not that I go to the gym, as you can tell, but I've seen screenshots and stuff. Like, he does sort of walk like that.
It's like he's got some weights, hasn't he?
Do you want to talk about the arms? Because you actually did something to the length of them, didn't you? as
Made them
well?
longer.
You did make them longer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like a lot of the old characters and the old player kit for some reason are just like that. So I don't know why.
Well, it's just proportions, isn't it? So if I stand up, and you look at my arms, they're about here. It's a normal length. In RuneScape, they tend to be about here, which is just really strange. So what you actually did was you actually lengthened it out, so things just appear to have a much more natural human proportion.
Yeah. And luckily it still works with all of the old animations, so there's no updated animations. I think I've spoken about this before, but I think the animations, the old school animations, are something that really shapes the nostalgia and is a big element that you guys love. So trying to make sure that new models work with the old animations is a good way of combining sort of the old and the new and making it blend into the world. Yeah.
Cool. That's well said.
Thanks. Said the word animations about 18 times.
So, as mentioned, we're not going to talk too much about the quest, but here are just a few sneak peek screenshots of what's happening in the quest. So, take from them what you will. Not, like I say, not really going to say much more than that. A few maybe little hints in there. A little bit of agility going on. Of course, in an elf quest, there's going to be some agility.
What's the fail rate like?
Reasonable on them ones. There's another bit that's not so much. This bit.
Ooh.
So, Morning's End Part 2. It's got a bit of a light puzzle going on in it, and doing Song of the Elves, I think we knew that there had to be another one. So what you're looking at here is you're looking at a very early grey box environment of what will become probably a little bit of a nightmare for you guys. Sorry.
Sneak peeks.
See, I love all the depth in the floor and all the details and everything you can see right here. It just really sums up the quest.
Oh yeah, this is finished content right here. So yeah, unsurprisingly, we've not released the quest yet because we're still working on it. Some stuff isn't done. Here's the grey box, but yeah, you can see some lasers going on. I'm sure you guys are going to have fun with that. Like compared to Monkey Madness 2 and Dragon Slayer 2, previous Grandmaster quest, there's still combat in this one, still some challenging bosses, but we've toned that down a bit to focus on the puzzles, as is true to the previous elf quests. So yeah, you've all got that to look forward to.
For anyone that doesn't know what grey boxing is basically work in progress, so don't worry, that's not what it's going to ship looking like.
It's probably quite interesting for them to see sort of how things are designed.
Yeah, it no doubt is, that's why they're here.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Garrett.
Oh dear. So, as we mentioned earlier, I'm just going to skip over that though, don't worry. As mentioned earlier, Song of the Elves is just the quest. And stop! I'm trying to talk to them. And I've lost it now completely. I barely had it in the first place, and now it's gone. This is all your fault. Let's try again. So Song of the Elves is obviously the Grandmaster quest for the Night of the Elves storyline, but as we all know, some of you are going to spacebar through it. There's like 2 guys in the chat who are going to absolutely love the lore. You're the guys I like, but for the rest of you, you probably care more about the actual city itself, the Great Crystal City of Prifddinas. It's been sat there on that world map since like, what, 2004 or something like that, something crazy, and we're finally going to open it up. And there it is, that's what it's looking like at the moment. So we showed off all the way back at RuneFest, I think we showed off like an initial map of what we thought it might look like, and here's what it actually does look like. So I don't know if anyone can even remember that map, but it's looking pretty close.
Yeah, there's a few things that have changed. We've added like a more stuff to the north. We've got like a mountain and some more like areas that just do some general skilling in. So yeah, it's getting there. Obviously things are bound to change like throughout development. When we make the assets, we're not entirely sure like exactly how they're gonna, like how big they're gonna be. We're just doing like a plan. So obviously things get pushed around a little bit. Yeah, it's fairly close to the original. We essentially just tried to keep all the clans in the same place. So it sort of matches RS3. So the lore is sort of still intact.
It's been pretty crazy seeing it all come together, sort of, it's like going game one day and you see all these grey buildings, pretty much like the puzzle that you just saw a minute ago. And then going game the next day and you suddenly see this huge majestic tower in front of like where you stood, exactly the same place. And it's like, where did this come from?
Yeah. So yeah, Modrai did all the towers, and I just worked on like the houses and the smaller things. And he also worked on like the trees as well that you'll see later. So yeah, it's come together really nicely, and it's good to just see it develop and evolve over time.
It's got a really unique feel, I think, because although it is a city, it's a very like natural environment, as is fitting for the elves. There's lots of trees in there, and obviously, of course, you've got the crystal. Like that's very much the elven thing. So there's like the crystal buildings, but also there's like crystals embedded in the trees and stuff. There's lots of other little crystal things going on, so it all looks well, really nice. We might actually get a few sneak peeks of some more of that very soon.
Yep.
And I think, as you already mentioned, like, we've got the little village to the north as well. Like, wants to do a little bit of world building there, and just because that area looks quite messy on the world map at the moment, unfinished, so just put something a little up there as well. And you've got the, like you say, the mountain. There's lots of like little lore tidbits and stuff. We looked back at like. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I was going to say you no longer be able to sneak around the side like you can currently as well, which is a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, I think we looked back at like previous releases we'd done, like the initial release of Korend, and like even looking back to like RuneScape, we sat down with the guys who made Prif and RuneScape, asked them what worked for them, what didn't, because obviously, unsurprisingly, things that worked for them probably won't work for us, and things that didn't work for them might work for us. There's some things that would work for both of us, and one thing they said was like, make sure you get some world building in there, like have some exam and text, some characters to talk to. And I think like every citizen at the moment has a unique exam and text, unique dialogue and stuff, just little things like that. But of course, don't worry, there's also the big shiny piece of content as well for those of you who don't like talking to people. So the walls to Prif, so those are like the original walls there that you can currently see in game, and what Mod Rai has done is he has taken them and given them a new coat of paint. So
this was actually the concept art that was done by Mod Zephyrseas.
it's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is a mouthful. I've had to write it down on a piece of
I'm
paper.
glad to read it
down
down, so I
there.
did actually forget it.
Yeah, I know. So he's very kindly done all the concept art for the walls and the buildings inside Prif, which meant that we could really explore ideas without committing to doing the modelling straight away. So what you can see here is he's actually taken natural forms of crystals and actually merged them in with the natural forms of nature, like tree branches growing through in a very wild fashion, but in a fashion where it feels like it's actually being contrived and sung into existence by the elves.
It's really cool.
It is very good. It was a lot of fun working with him, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, amazing ideas.
So these are some of the trees that we discussed earlier. So as you can see, Mod Rai's put some crystals in place there on those trees. And I think maybe the walls might be next.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, there we
Hey.
go. So that's the end result that Mod Rai came up with.
So this isn't like the main gate from the south, this is the gate from the west. So yeah, it's just where the coast is, which is why it looks a little different to the previous picture. Oh, and of course the walls are different as well,
It looks so cool. Yeah.
obviously.
And you can see some of the trees inside the city as well, and a few on the outside.
Yeah. Well, we've kept the rocks the same, because the rocks around Trannon are really nice, so we sort of kept those to keep it all consistent. Yeah.
Cool, yeah, so a really good job on that. So this is the mine.
Yeah, so this is in the Treherne area?
Yeah, so for anyone not aware, the elves have 8 clans, and each clan has like a rough focus, and the Treherne clan, their focus is mining and smithing, so unsurprisingly, they have a mine, and here's a little sneak peek of it that, again, Mod Rai has done.
Initially this was in the main city itself, but it did seem a bit out of place, having just a random mine in the middle of the city, so we moved underground and made the area just a little bit more scenic with some trees and stuff like that.
I don't know about you, but I'm quite missing the 20 rune rocks that were just gathered in the middle of the city.
Perfect rows.
Yeah, when we were
Yeah.
placeholdering things out, there may have been quite a few rune rocks. So we mentioned crystal meeting wood in their houses and buildings earlier, and here's some more concept art showing that.
Yeah, from Mod, what was it again?
Zephyrseas.
Zephyrseas. So yeah, this really helped when I was assembling all the buildings, just to get that sort of high detail. They're not exactly like this, because he did another paint over as well, but we sort of like mixed the different ideas together, and yeah, they turned out really well in the end. So.
Yeah, the houses look great. We can see them next.
Yeah.
Oh, is that one next?
It's one house next.
Oh, a house.
So this is it's made up of a kit. So the entire roof kit is made up of like 1x1 pieces, and you can arrange it in different into a pitched formation or like in a bonnet roof style, and the chimneys work as well in that way. And yeah, I think it's going to be a shame because most people play with their roofs turned off. But I mean, if you could enter the city with your roofs turned on for once, that'd be really great.
It looks so good.
It looks
Thank
gorgeous, yeah.
We're really trying to appeal to those players that don't spacebar roof rings and don't turn their roofs off. Those guys can have a real good time here.
We've got Gwyneth now.
Ah, cool. Yeah, so this is the little town to the north of the city called Gwyneth. As you can see, I've sort of assembled the roof kit and the wall kit into various different buildings. We got a 3-story mill there, and a 2-story house, and then just a single-story house there that's closer as well. So yeah, this is just trying to build up a little bit of scenery and make it make sense, because currently Trannon just has like the city and Letua, so it made sense to just add some more, little small towns.
It was a bit similar to like when we did Sleep, and we sort of something like, oh, the vampires constantly talk about typing all the villages, and then we realise, but wait, there aren't really any. And like where do all the other elves live? Like, surely they're not all in Prif, so, and again, as mentioned earlier, something to fill that gap up there. So, nice little village for you, nice little mill.
The people in the chat are saying that it looks amazing. I have to agree, when I saw that, I was like, wow, when we did the walkthrough. So it's amazing work you did there, Mod West.
Cheers. Yeah, sort of surprised myself, to be honest, when I'd made it. It turned out quite nice. Yeah, it was good fun making that. I did get a bit carried away as well, so hopefully everyone will have fun like exploring the area. I've thrown in some usual pop culture references, as I tend to do.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, no.
It's awesome though.
So, these are the RuneScape clan elders, aren't they?
Yeah, these are 3 of the RuneScape clan elders. So from left to right, we have Lady Mylere, Lady Heffin, and Lord Iworth. So the reason we're showing you guys these RS3 characters is because we're about to show you how they're going to look in the Prif update. So are we starting with Lady Mylere?
We'll start from left to right.
Left to right.
Yeah.
Did I say left to right?
No,
Yeah,
no,
left to right.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
we're going to start with Lady Mylere. So some of you guys have seen Lady Mylere already. I think she's pinned on my Twitter. But we wanted to show you again because I've whacked some of her concepts down. These concepts are actually done by me when I was designing Lady Mylere, so you can see that the sort of process that I'd go through to design a character. As you can tell, she's sort of made up of a few elements of each. So sometimes when I design a character, I'll do one drawing and I'll go, yeah, that's the one that I want, and I'll scrap all the others. Or sometimes I'll go, a bit from here, bit from here, bit from here, and sort of like kit bash it together. But yeah, this is sort of showing the process. This is Lady Mylere. Next is Lady Heffin. Yep. So as you can see with this one, I just went for the top right straight up because I really like that one. Very different from RuneScape. What do you guys think?
I love it. I think it's very Tilda Swinton, Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
So that's great. Yeah.
And it's sort of it's good. It fits with the area as well because it's very agility focused, right?
Yeah. Well, the Heffin House are agility, but they're also the sort of spirituality sort of side of the elves as well. So I thought it would be quite an interesting way to merge these by sort of saying, she's super agile, almost sort of like a monk. So she has that like agility, like, focus, but the spirituality. So I was originally thinking of making her blind, and then I was like, why not just make her an absolute badass and give her a blindfold?
She doesn't need her eyes.
She doesn't need her eyes. She uses senses, something. Oh, Lord Iworth. There you go. Cool.
It just speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? I don't think I saw these concepts before. Those are really cool.
He's been spending time with Jim, hasn't he?
Oh,
Yeah, he's swole.
Shoulders like that.
That one's like very Genghis Khan to me. It definitely seems like a villain.
Yeah, I love his hair. It's really cool.
So if you guys remember the Iworth warriors from the start, obviously they're his soldiers. So you can see the design references in there, color themes.
Cool.
Yeah, and then the concepts as well. Actually, looking at the concepts, I can't tell which one I used.
Oh,
The
you
middle
used
one.
the bottom middle, yeah.
one. And then I stole the hair from like the top left or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so as mentioned earlier, like there's 8 elf clans for the elves, and everyone has their own leader, and I think it's really cool. I think so, like all got their own unique styles because they all have their like themes, like skills and whatnot. So like rather than just 50 generic elves, we have to make these guys stand out quite a bit.
Yeah, it was really fun to design. Had a great time. Still having a great time, to be honest. Still making elves.
I really like the lineup you had of all the elders because you could see that how unique each one were.
Yeah,
it
that's
sort of
right.
felt like the Avengers assembling sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was really quite cool.
When all of the elves have been released, I guess I'll like post the lineup because it might be quite interesting for you
Yeah,
guys to
that'd be
see
cool.
how the different shape language works together. Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
So it's a little sneak peek of some of the general stuff coming with the city, and I think now we're going to go into a deep dive into the 2 main pieces of content we're going to find there, being the Gauntlet and Zalcano. So I think we're starting with the Gauntlet.
Yeah, I think that there's a
Maybe.
picture of the gauntlet.
Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, once again, for anyone not aware, the Gauntlet is a new mini game, I guess is the best way to describe it, that's going to be coming with Song of the Elves and Prif. So once you've completed the quest and you can enter Prif, you'll be able to go to this place, this new training area, where when you enter, you're not allowed to take any of your own armour, weapons or anything else in. Instead, you have to run around in there, gathering items, killing monsters, to basically gather enough supplies to hopefully have a chance of surviving against the final boss, which we'll be having a look at very soon. So there's definitely some dungeoneering vibes coming across here. Like you think you could see like the dungeoneering like inspiration of like the square rooms and whatnot, and the idea of like having to gather your own items and everything and not take your own stuff in. But that said, it's not a copy of dungeoneering by any means. It's not just dungeoneering. There's a lot of different things going on here. I think the biggest one is probably the time limit. So when you go in here, you get, it's currently 10 minutes, that could change in balancing, you get 10 minutes to explore the area. So it's really fast paced, like compared to a lot of other content where you can sort of afford to just stand behind a pillar for half an hour and slowly heal up. In here, you don't get a chance to do any of that. You have to be as fast as possible. And if you're not fast enough, you're not going to have enough items when you get to that boss. So the theme behind it is, unsurprisingly, in the Crystal City, it's crystal. So all the creatures you fight in the Gauntlet, they're all constructed out of crystal and then animated. And here we have a few examples of the creatures you'll find in there. So they're all based on existing creatures that you'll find in game.
Are you going to go into the lore behind it? Or?
Oh, the actual idea that it's a training ground.
Yes, yes. So it's like the reason why they have all these crystal creatures in there is it's a training area. They go in here to try and better themselves, basically. So they're not going to be killing actual unicorns because it's a little bit mean, a tad mean. So instead they've got these ones that have been created that live in there. We've got a wolf.
Moment of silence for the wolf.
And
Crystal
Dark Beast.
Yeah, it's a fan favourite.
Yeah,
Everyone loves the Dark Beast.
As you can see, like, all the creatures are quite fitting, like creatures from around the area, or quite creatures that you'll find in like similar styles of environments, like woods and whatnot. And as mentioned earlier, if you can manage to gather enough supplies, you might have a chance of taking on the boss, the Crystalline Hunlith. So that's this guy here. So unlike all the others, which are existing creatures, this guy is brand new. You want a bit of lore again for the two people who might care about that sort of thing. Again, really like these guys. This is based on a deadly predator from the Elven homeworld from before they came to Gielinor.
I'd love to do Hunlifts that aren't made of crystal and people just come across. That'd be so cool.
One day.
The Crystalline Hunlith looks awesome.
Thanks, thanks G. So I was about to say your actual name there.
Who would do that?
Wait, you mean your name's not Mod G?
We can actually see the full force of the Hunlith in the next one, I think, as well. We've got his attack animation.
So what was your inspiration when working on this?
When I was a kid, there's a film called Neverending Story, and there was this horrible like wolf creature they had to fight in that gave me nightmares. So I thought I would base it roughly on that. So yeah, that's what it's based upon. And also 300 with that scary dog at the start of that. Do you remember where he's training his son?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal. That.
So yeah.
We're not going to give any spoilers as to how the actual combat works, so you'll have to have a think for yourselves as to what this special attack might do.
People are asking if the gauntlet is solo, Ed.
Yes, the Gauntlet is solo. The next piece of content we're going to move on to after this is group, so we've got a bit of a mixture going on. So we all like a good bit of fun, but what we really like is rewards, don't we? That's a really fun stuff. So from the Gauntlet, here's one of the things you might be able to get if you're lucky enough. This is the Blade of Saildor. This is the new sword that we recently polled. This has been done by Mod Rai, I think.
That's right, yeah. And on the left we've got the charged version, and on the right we've got the uncharged version.
It's quite strange because initially I was going to make it, and we didn't really talk about it, but I was going to make literally that.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like a nice elven blade.
It just shows we don't have to talk anymore.
Yeah, we're just all
Telepathically linked.
connected, yeah.
And we've also got the crystal armor. So the armor that you use in the Gauntlet is a crystal armor, and you can see the different variations there as you like charge up in the Gauntlet and enhance it and whatnot. And if you once again get lucky enough in the Gauntlet, you'll be able to take some armor home yourself. Anything you want to mention about the armor?
Yeah, the armor is tiered, so you've got your first tier, second tier, third tier, and the design sort of reflects that. So I guess the helmet's a bit more open in the first tier, coming down third tier, and then that's sort of the whole way through. Some of you don't like it. Oh dear.
And there it is for a male character as well.
This also replaces the armour that we showed off at RuneFest as well, correct?
Yeah, so we could talk a bit about that, like
Yeah,
how
so
the stats
that one
changed.
there, that's the one that you actually get.
Yeah,
if
this
you,
is the reward.
Manage to get it from the Gauntlet.
Yeah. Yeah, so the armor that you guys saw at RuneFest was originally designed with the idea of it sort of being like an all-round
Like a
armor.
hybrid armor, yeah.
Yeah, like a
Like
hybrid
another,
armor. But we've sort of decided since then that this armor is specifically ranged. So I kind of redesigned it with that in mind. This is, I suppose it's still kind of a work in progress. It's the most recent thing that I've done.
Yeah,
so
we're totally open to feedback.
Yeah, it's still
fine.
open to
Yeah.
feedback, 100%. So I have a few posts on Twitter, so if you guys have any really specific feedback, it would be great if you'd go and leave them on that post so that I could read through them and see what you'd guys like to see changed.
Yeah. What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is @jagexg, G-E-E. Yeah.
So the little sneak peek of the gauntlet there, as mentioned earlier, we're not going to show too much off because we don't want to let you guys know how to beat it, but you probably already start having a little think about what might be involved. And the other big piece of content in Prif is Zalcano, the new skilling boss. And as mentioned earlier, this is the one that is available for groups. So here she is. So obviously a lot of things in the Crystal City are made from crystal. And you may have noticed a bit of a running theme in everything we've shown off. There's been a lot of crystal. So with Zalcano, we wanted to do something a little bit different, and she is this demon that the elves have imprisoned within Prifinus so that they can study her. The reason why they want to study her is because she has a curse that she has been turned to stone, which is quite fascinating because I've never seen anything like that before. And it gives us the opportunity to play with a few different colours rather than just more blues and greens, which we love blues and greens. There's a lot of that in Prif, so this is something a little bit darker.
It's also nice to do a demon in RuneScape with, well, in Old School, with a more effeminate appearance to it, because most of our demons are male, aren't they? Have we got female demons?
I think only the Penance Queen is like the only other one that immediately springs to mind. They're pretty much all male, so yeah, chance to do something a little bit different by having a female one.
It kind of just sets it aside, like in terms of the silhouette that we've got there. So you can see it's got broader hips, obviously like a broader chest, and just the way she kind of pivots on one hip and pushes like her other hip to the side. I was going to say glute then, but it's a bit obvious.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, I really like the wings that give that sort of very menacing feel to it.
Yeah.
They didn't look like that originally, did they?
They didn't. This went through about 4 iterations, including the Twitter feedback, before we finally got to something that we're happy with. So yeah, it looks pretty cool now.
So again, no gameplay spoilers, but you can see the one on the right, she's doing some sort of special attack there. You have to wait and see what that is. For the people asking in the chat, so you'll fight her using mainly mining, but also a little bit of smithing and rune crafting as well, because she's made from stone. Pretty much as you'd imagine, it's pretty crude, nothing overly fancy. You have to mine her rather than fighting her as normal, because she's made of stone. Normal weapons won't do any damage to her. But I'm not going to say any more than that, because spoilers, you have to work it out for yourselves again. And she's got some rewards as well, so anyone that manages to kill her might have a chance at getting a crystal tool seed, which can be used with dragon equivalents to make the new crystal tools, pickaxe, axe and harpoon.
So these were also created by Modrai. He's done a really good job with these. I'm looking forward to getting one myself.
Cool.
Cool.
So is there any more after this?
I believe that's the end.
Cool. So I think then it's time for a little... we've had a look at quite a few things. Maybe it's time to listen to something. We've got another audio sneak peek now. And this is the... I believe we're going to be revealing the some of the music track that plays when you actually fight Zalcano. Maybe.
Who do we have?
I think so, yeah. So we've got a couple of new faces on the stream now. We've magically, really smoothly, in fact, suddenly lost Mod Ghost and Mod West, and instead we're now joined by Mod Ian and Mod Surma.
Hello.
Who, oddly enough, after just doing an audio reveal, these are the audio guys. So you guys have been working on the new music tracks for Song of the Elves, and I was meant to have some questions for you. Sadly, the iPad has locked itself and I don't have a passcode, so I'm now completely making up as I go along, which is pretty much what I've been doing for the entire stream.
That's what we do.
That's how we create
That's how we roll.
So that one we just listened to there was the track that plays when you're fighting Zalcana, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that was done by yourself, Mod Surma, wasn't it?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I guess what sort of were your inspirations when coming up with this?
That's a deep question. Inspiration comes from many places at the weirdest of times. But I think, one of the primary inspirations is really looking at the art. It's a really good way to get an idea of what kind of mood we're in. It's a dark kind of atmosphere. Even looking at Zalcana herself and how she moves, how she carries herself and presents herself, and all these kind of features and characteristics can be then translated into some sort of musical form and identity, really. Just it's a boss battle, so it's got to be epic.
Yeah, well, obviously with the nice, calm Crystal City, there's been a lot of slower tracks.
Definitely going to be a contrast.
There's still been a bit of room for a couple of faster.
There's a lot of music that we've written for this piece of content.
Yeah,
it's one of the largest ones, I think.
It seems like we say that every time. We should keep going bigger and bigger, don't we? We can't resist.
We like big.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
So for the actual city itself, I think you guys have done a music track for each clan.
We have.
Plus one for the Tower of Voice, a big central tower.
Yeah, that's right.
So each clan sort of has its own theme, basically, I guess.
It has. We kind of tried to style that on. Well, basically, we read up on all the
we also read the lore. We love reading the lore.
Yeah,
so you're
absorbed in the lore. But we tried to take as many kind of influences from what their kind of jobs are, the clans, the people that are involved in there, and the kind of who they worship or where they live, or as many different details as we can get, and then we try and add little bits of references into the music that sort of sell that idea where possible.
So I remember. I think it was the Amlod clan. Amlod? Am I pronounce that pronounce that correctly? So that was all very kind of mystical, and so that's how I, when I was writing that piece of music, that's what I wanted to kind of portray, was this mystic feel,
Yeah. For anyone not aware, the Amlod clan, they're the clan of mystics, as you may have gathered from that. That's actually where the Gauntlet is based in the Amlod clan, because it's this big magical training area. So obviously, Prif already exists in another game. It exists in RuneScape.
There's a rumour, yeah,
and
which already had loads of.
And
well,
you guys
we think it's nice music.
You did some music for that as well. So
we basically just copied RS3. It's just a lot easier.
We made it even better.
So what our question was did you look back at the what you did for then and
When I first sort of started this, I don't know about yourself, Mod Surma, because I think you might have started a couple of days after me or something like that. But
days after you?
No, we're starting writing the music.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Like 16 years after.
I'm only 6 months older than them anyway. But
yeah, it's 26.
For anyone not aware, Ian is, I think,
26.
Are you the longest
I'm employee number 4,
at Jagex?
so I'm responsible for all the really annoying stuff like Escape Main, Sea Shanty 3.
2?
Sea Shanty 3, sorry.
Oh, spoiler!
I didn't say that. And Flute Salad and all those wonderfully annoying earworms that you either love or hate, depending on your taste. Obviously, you love them. But yeah, so I started off and wrote. Basically, I found this in some ways a little bit easier because I was kind of in a good mood when I wrote the music, which is sort of rare anyway. So the music kind of really flowed for me, and I just started sort of churning out this massive, great big thing of about 20 odd minutes with sort of 5 or 6 tunes in it. So that became the backbone of all the kind of the music for me, and we kind of took influences from that, and then you took some bits and I took some bits, and it all kind of grew out of that. But we didn't want to copy anything at all from RS3, right? So it's completely from the ground up. There's nothing shared at all with any of that music. It's got its own sort of sound, and everything is bespoke for RS, as it should be.
Of course.
Did you find, looking at other fantasy games, films over where elves appeared quite a bit, did you look at any of that for inspiration, or did you decide to try and make it a bit...
Well, as Mod Summer, inspiration really does come like from everywhere, films and sort of what we read, and even just the documents that are supplied from the dev teams here, and the concept art and the models, and we're looking at them and stuff like that. I mean, you have to take literally what you can from everywhere. So for me, it all kind of just feeds into like some sort of good ideas, and then I try and kind of roll with it. So
kind of go through this kind of process tube, like this kind of factory, and then something comes out at the end.
Yeah, and luckily it was quite enjoyable. They're not all really kind of happy, jolly tunes. There's a mixture of stuff there, but one of the things that I like to do is write songs that really get stuck in people's heads and sort of either annoy them or make them really jolly, depending on what you like.
Yeah, but I think we've had a few examples of that.
The kind of recognisable stuff that you can hum. So there was a comment I read earlier about the music being happy that was played on as the stream was starting. But not everything's kind of really happy. It kind of has moments of light and dark and stuff. So hopefully it will sort of please your ears when you listen to it.
And it reflects the story, doesn't it? Like the entire elf storyline has been very light and dark. It's had some of the darker moments of any quest we've seen in Old School, so it makes sense the music would follow that. I
mean, we wanted to kind of like have loads of music that can play kind of at random when you're in the city, so that it doesn't hopefully get so repetitive as like some areas can be. So we'll probably have a little kind of a playlist of songs that can all kind of rotate round and round as you're going round, and unlock them in different areas. Not fully decided yet, but we will talk about how they're going to be unlocked later.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us today. It's always fun to hear some new music tracks. I think there was plenty of love for that in the chat. What it looked like anyway. So
I haven't been reading the chat. I daren't look at the chat.
Oh, yeah. Never look at the chat.
No, never.
And hopefully there'll be a bit more of that when we release it.
Hopefully.
Awesome.
Yeah, give us your comments.
Yes, we look forward to it.
Like your Twitters.
Yes. At JagXSerma.
Who am I? Which
I'm at JagXENT.
Yeah. JagXENT.
As you can tell, he checks it very regularly.
I do actually I do check it every day. But, there you go.
Awesome.
Believe we have a track.
Have you got another track?
Well, our exit theme is another track.
Oh, excellent.
A couple more.
Which one are we hearing now?
It's Dance of the...
No, is it Melee, Mile?
Can never get the pronunciations correct.
Mile.
Whatever you fancy.
Mile.
Dance of the something.
The dance of the something.
So this is Dance of Melia, whatever you prefer, and this is oddly enough the theme for the Melia house. So thanks, guys. And there we go, another smooth transition. By the way, chat, I didn't swear, I said whatever the F you prefer. You were the guys that put the word in. I could have meant something completely different. So, after that smooth transition, we've got some time for some general questions now. So, you guys have been hopefully throwing some questions in the chat as the stream's been going on. We've got a few that we've taken from Reddit and Twitter as well. I know, Reddit and Twitter. But hey-ho, what can you do? And we're going to go through those now. So, hopefully Mod Gambit has a few more for us as well. Maybe. So, let's see. Some of these we've sort of covered already earlier, so forgive me, I'm just going to sort of scroll through a bit. So, straight away something I can't pronounce. Will we need barrels of nafta?
Yeah,
Some barrels of stuff to complete the quest. Asking so I don't lose my mind mid-quest on release. No, you won't need those. You'll probably still lose your mind because of that light puzzle we showed off earlier. Sorry. That's a nice easy one. So next up one we could probably talk about a little bit more. When did the team first decide to make Song of the Elves? And how long has it been in development? And how much has that design changed over time? That was actually 3 questions there. It was very greedy. So let's go from one at a time. So when did the team first decide to make Song of the Elves?
I think we first decided near enough a year ago now, didn't we? It was a little while before RuneFest.
Yeah, so like every year in the lead up to RuneFest, we get locked in a room and we sit down, and we're not allowed out until we've come up with some ideas for what to announce at RuneFest. And this was one of them. And I think the idea came from that. I think we've learned at this point, people seem to quite like quests, Grandmaster quests particularly, so we've got a lot of love for Monkey Madness 2 and Dragon Slayer 2. So obviously we wanted to do another one, but we didn't want to just go, I've done Monkey Madness 2, Dragon Slayer 2, let's take another quest and just put 2 on the end of it. So we've done that a couple of times, and I've no doubt we'll do it again at some point, because they do seem to go quite well. But we wanted to do something a little bit different, and we realised that what we were doing with Monkey Madness 2, Dragon Slayer 2, we were taking like iconic quests and continuing them, and it made sense to take the next step up and take an iconic series and continue it, so rather than just looking at one quest and an entire series of them. And while doing that, to do something we've never actually done in Old School before, and that's actually finish off a storyline. We've got, I don't even want to think about how many storylines there are out there in our game. There's so many of them, and none of them have an ending. We're very good at doing middles. We keep churning out middles forever, but we don't ever do an ending. And this is an opportunity to actually do that for the first time. And that was why we went with Song of the Elves.
What a radical idea.
I know, right? It's crazy, isn't it? Imagine doing an ending. And obviously we announced it at RuneFest, and it seemed like people liked it. And when we polled it, it got, I think I mentioned earlier, like 95% or something, so there certainly seems to be some love behind it. What was the next part of the question? How long has it been in development? So this has been quite a big project for us. So like the poll was in March time, so that's when things really started to kick off. But as always, we do a few things before the polls. So we actually have things to show off, things to prototype and whatnot. So I think we actually started back in like January, didn't we?
I started making elves genuinely in like the 1st of January.
Straight off of Kebbles, pretty much.
Yeah.
This had like the biggest development overhead from the team as well, because in terms of people working on the project over length of time, it's been huge, hasn't it?
It's certainly been one of the big ones. We've got a whole Grandmaster quest, we've got a whole city and all the new unique pieces of content in it, so it's quite a chunky one.
Yeah, and I think although the actual sort of official development time kicked off in January, there were a couple of bits and pieces, even back in December, that Moded and I weren't entirely sure whether or not they were possible to do with regards to sort of like the way the gauntlet is generated, and we kind of like took some time to figure out if it was.
Yeah.
So it's been going back to December really, but sort of officially kicked off and really got into the swing of things in January.
Yeah. Okay.
You could argue even earlier as well, because obviously you didn't write the quest. Last year.
Yeah, before we got locked in that room, actually, I went into that room with an idea. I didn't come with it on the spot. I'm not quite that good. So I think I wrote the original story well over a year ago now. Hopefully it's good.
And then I did the planning for the actual city itself just before RuneFest in like September. So, I mean, mostly for about 6 months essentially, but it's been going on for a while.
And then there was another part of that question, because they were very greedy. How much has the design changed over time? So, I guess that map is sort of a good example. Like, we've stuck pretty close to the original design. Like, the quest is pretty much the same as the story that was originally set out. Like, a few little things have changed, so pretty close, to be honest, I think.
Yeah, I think like the way we did this, we reassessed all the way throughout the project as to what exactly we want to go in. And nothing's really changed, it's just more the order that we do things in to get to the end goal, isn't it, that really changes. I think from the get-go we always knew more or less what we were going to have at the end. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's fair.
We also did like a sort of second poll as well, which gave us more opportunity to sort of focus on the core elements of it, and then sort of add some extra things on after we'd sort of got a good meat of the project done as well. So that was really cool.
So, next question. It's quite a big one. I'll try and shorten it a bit. But the TLDR is that obviously these stories exist in RuneScape already, and we're basically kind of remaking a quest that already exists. And like, how close do we stick to the lore? And I'm asking myself this question, aren't I? Because I wrote it. So Ed, why have you done this? I think the best example of this is looking at. Oh, hello. We've got a mystery man coming on.
I'm invisible.
So I think probably a good example of this, something that we've already done before, is a Taste of Hope. So that was the first time we wrote a quest in Old School where there was like a corresponding one in RuneScape 3, and I think if you look at that one, you'll see like a few of the elements are the same. So like the key points are quite similar, but then there's a lot of new things as well. In particular, like the journey takes a different route, even if the ending is the same. And similarly with Song of the Elves, there are some similarities. There's a few things that stay the same. A few characters have the same type of endings and whatnot, but a few have different ones as well. And in particular, like the journey, the order it goes in is all quite different. And I think you saw the images earlier, you saw the puzzle. Obviously, that's not something that's in RuneScape 3, so it should feel very different.
So I was just laughing at someone said like Game of Thrones. Different journey, same end.
Hopefully it's better than Game of
Not
Thrones.
quite that.
I've lost my place now. How hard is the gauntlet on a scale of Falador Guard to 6 Jads at once? I never like difficulty questions because it's always a very...
It's subjective.
Yeah.
I don't really play the game that much, and when I actually played the Gauntlet, I had loads of fun doing it, and I thought it was quite accessible for someone that's generally not used to like the mechanics of Old School RuneScape. So on that basis, it's definitely like really playable and really accessible and really, I don't know, streamlined to play.
Yeah, the nice thing about having a time limit on it is that sort of like the difficulty can kind of come from there, and in particular like optimizing your route and whatnot. So like, I guess that's where a lot of the difficulty comes from. So it's quite hard to compare to Jads or indeed Falador Guards. Probably a little bit harder than Falador Guards. Probably not quite as hard as 6 Jads.
Is it a safe death, Ed?
So it's even though it's not your own items in there, so for a lot of people it will be a safe death because they don't actually lose anything. It isn't actually a safe death for hardcores, they will die. So
if
get good.
Yeah, if basically a hardcore Iron Man dies in the Gauntlet, they will lose their hardcore status, and if any player dies in there who has items stored at a different gravestone, those items will be lost upon death.
It's a bit harsh.
I mean, they died, so like Ed said, get good.
So on the